I can't wait to unfold this one in a little bit of a fun way, because what we're going to do is something slightly different than the last two anatomy immersions. What I want to do is kind of flip-flop between anatomy, technique, and this kind of very physical oriented practice, and bring in a bit of what is, I find, extremely necessary, especially for the heart opening practice. That is the mindset component, or the getting attentive to the psychological aspects of the practice, in particular with back bends or heart openers. And even just using those two terms, back bends versus heart openers, there's a psychological difference when we hear back bend versus heart open, right? And that can really shift the way in which we approach these postures, these set of postures. They're really two names for the same thing, but our mindset around the physical kind of the sound of bending versus opening makes a difference to our nervous system, and I will be discussing that throughout this immersion. We'll start today with a bit of physical and just getting connected to the muscles that move our shoulders. But I want to say hello to everybody in the chat real quick before we officially begin here. So good to have you all here. What's up, Kristen? Welcome back from Germany, from Hamburg, I believe you're in now. Hey, Roman, welcome in. Hey, Stephanie, Richard, greetings to you as well. We have Catty from Brazil, yep, Catty. Hey, Mikkel, welcome in from France. Hey, Steph, welcome. Nice to have you back. Germany, looking forward to it. First time for you, Stephanie, or Steph. Thank you so much for being here. Swati, thank you so much. Nice to have you here. Jackie, welcome in. Mika from Frankfurt, welcome. Nice to have you here. Sabui, from wherever in the world you are right now. Is it Dubai? Where is it? You're always coming from a new place. Hey, Gaia, welcome in. Hey, Roman from Austria, Österreich. And Dina, welcome in. Hope to have nice to have you back. Agnes, hello, welcome. Nice to have you back as well. Hey, Grace, glad to be here as well. Hey, Karina, welcome in. And we have Andriana from Yoga by Andriana from the UK. Welcome back, Andriana. Hey, Urban Vishali, welcome back. Good to have you here. Let's see. So Urban Tranquility, your name is Kim, showing up as Urban Tranquility. Yeah, it's just, you're logged into YouTube as that. That's probably it. Masonetta, welcome back. Good to have you here. Rebecca Sunshine, good to have you back as well. Just Results Fit for Life. Aloha. Amao, I believe that is. Welcome back, Amao. Jenna Short, nice to have you again. Welcome in. Hey, Jack, welcome back again. Hope you're doing well down there. Hey, Claire, good to have you back as well. Hey, Lynn, start a new immersion with you. Yeah, grateful to be starting a new immersion with you as well, Lynn. Thanks for coming back. Nikki, hello to you. Noelle from Boston, good to have you back. Or not back, sorry, good to have you here. I don't believe you've practiced with me before, have you, Noelle? Let me know. If so, then welcome back. All right. Cool, well, let's get started with just a little discussion real quick about this idea of heart opening. So the reason I chose heart, or anatomy of the heart versus anatomy of back bends, is because there's a strong component of psychology that is involved in heart openers, and that's really because of understanding nervous system and how the nervous system can affect our muscular behavior, or neuromuscular behavior. And that's really apparent in when we get towards, there's two sides of the nervous system. We have sympathetic and parasympathetic. Parasympathetic is known as like the rest and digest. It's the calming energy. It's the part of us that allows us to kind of wind down at the end of the day and go to sleep. It's, of course, rest and digest. It's indicative that we're digesting, but it's also the relaxing, chilling out vibe, whereas sympathetic is what gets us up in the morning. It gets us moving, doing things. It's what motivates us and inspires us to take action. And too much in either side, like a lot of us have a nervous system, or all of us have a nervous system disposition where we're sort of prone to one side or the other. There's the folks that are really, they wake up in their day and they're ready to go, 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 go. And there's the other ones that get up and man, it just takes a long time to get up. I need the coffee, you know, things like that. And then the same, you know, going to bed at night. Some people are just buzzing in the mind and some are just like hit the pillow and out. Now, there's imbalances that happen in everybody, but we all have kind of a disposition towards the sympathetic or parasympathetic, and we have a timing that we've sort of trained ourselves between our eating habits, how much light we're viewing in the morning versus if we're, you know, are we going outside, or are we staying in, or are we viewing artificial light? That changes the way that we sleep or not. The way that we exercise or not exercise, all of this, and of course our just upbringing of all of that and many other things are playing into the way that our nervous system is kind of behaving or interacting with this these two ends of the spectrum of sympathetic and parasympathetic. So what we want to do is first understand that heart openers require that we get kind of in a balanced state. Because if you're like, there's an allowing or a surrendering, a softening that happens with parasympathetic that allows the spine to release and relax, but there's an attentiveness of engagement that needs to be there and activation of muscles that will help get you into the depths of the pose. Like, think about Urdhva Dhanurasana, full wheel pose, one of the postures we'll do later on in this immersion. If you were just kind of resting and digesting, you're probably not going to like have the energy to get up into full wheel. You have to have that go energy, that sympathetic nervous system, that sympathetic response. Same is true if you are in this like full end of the spectrum of sympathetic, where you're in this go kind of energy. Then you could either doing full wheel or a big heart opener could get you too anxious and worried and feeling that you're too high up. It feels less grounded. Your breath might be too rapid, and this might make it very hard to get into a deep, relaxed back bend that is engaged and yet focused. So it might be hard to articulate actions in your body and really apply techniques that would then expand you, and that worry kind of contracts you. Or on the other end, same end of the spectrum, sympathetic nervous system, we might what is more often is like if we move towards the fight or flight, the front body contracts as a result of protecting. So whenever you get towards that fight or flight, the body's kind of reacting in a way that it's preparing for fighting, which is going to be contracting of the abdominal muscles, contracting of the muscles called serratus anterior, pectoralis muscles, these muscles that are going to protect the vital organs that get you into this position. Or flight, running, so the psoas and the hip flexors are going to get really tensed up and ready, and we get into this ready position for fight or flight, which is exact opposite of this opening position of heart openers, right? And that becomes, if you can get that visual, that understanding that no one ever kind of entered the boxing ring like, yes, hit me, you know, or go for a sprint with the arms stretched out wide and the heart lifted, would be very hard to sprint in that way, right? It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it would be not aerodynamic. It'd be very much, you'd be taking the wind against you and slowing you down. So if we understand that fight or flight is the extreme of sympathetic, and of course we can think of parasympathetic as like falling asleep, checking out the extreme on that side, like not being able to focus, right? If we understand that these two ends of the spectrum exist, and if we're too much on one side or the other, it's going to be very hard to do heart openers. So we want to try to come right into that space in between, and there's a dance between the two sides that we can kind of get involved with, and where we're right in that center, where we're awake and engaged, able to attend to movements and engagements of muscles and articulations of our joints, and we're able to be listening and perceptive and feeling the sensations of our body as we're doing these actions, so that we can make choices, and that we're able to not force our front body to over tighten, but to allow it to expand through the engagement of the back body. And that brings us to anatomy. So what we're going to try to do is a lot in this immersion. There are some times where we'll engage the front body, but we're really going to be engaging a lot is the back body. And that tends to be tough for people because we don't do anything really with the back body unless you have a practice of some sort that really engages the back body. You know, in life, that you do something where you're really doing a lot of things behind you and, you know, kind of getting into this position. And maybe some climbers might have strong back body because they're constantly looking up with their chest as they reach and then pulling, right? That tends to be the one avenue. Climbers tend to have strong backs and strong back body awareness and engagement, but most others, if you do spin, like you do cycling and running and, you know, any other kind of form of fitness, it tends to harden the front body, which is not bad, but it leaves typically the back bend to be, or the back body to be weak and underdeveloped, while the front body is tight and strong. So we're going to try to soften and open the front body while we strengthen the back body, this immersion. So let's just do one simple anatomical awareness today, and that is to stretch the front body of the chest, what are called the pectoralis major muscles, and strengthen the opposing muscle group called the rhomboids. Now, what's going to happen is as we strengthen the rhomboids, it's going to help us to open the chest muscles, but it's going to free our arms up in many ways for a lot of these back bend or heart opening postures. So our anatomy for today. All right, let me pull up the anatomy. And there we are. We're gonna go over to make sure, yes. Okay, so what I wanted to show you is just a close-up of the spine. That's what we have right here. This close-up of more towards the lumbar spine. In between these spinal vertebrae, we have what would be called intervertebral discs. And I'm kind of struggling to figure out how to, yeah, these are just showing the process. I was struggling with how to get the intervertebral discs on there, because when I put connective tissue on, it doesn't show it. In any case, it's just not coming up for me on how to, let me see if I just add various things onto the body. No. So there are discs, in other words, between your vertebra. They're cushioned sacs, and they're called intervertebral discs. Ignore what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to get the, oh, that's digestive. We don't need digestive at all. I can't really read these. They're a little bit, yeah. So I'm just trying to see if I can get the discs so you can see them. But in any case, there are discs between each of these vertebrae, and they will cushion in case they kind of collapse on one another. But you can see right here from this sort of side angle that the idea is we want to open up like a clamshell. We want to open up the front of these vertebrae in order to do back bends. And you can see on the back side that you've got these different what's called spinous processes, or like kind of sticky outy points. And we're just going to try to bow, what I call bowing the spine forward. We're going to try to move the spinal column forward towards the front side of the body so that these vertebra can open up and allow the discs, the intervertebral discs, to slide forward, giving them space. Now, for today, we're gonna get really deep into, of course, the spine as we go along, but today I wanted to keep it simple. So there's the generally, you know where the spine is now, and you know that you've got three curves. If you look at this, you'll see that the low back is in an arched position. If I take away these muscles, and let's take away the, yeah, thank you. Okay, so the low back is in an arched position typically. The upper back, if you look at it, is kind of in a rounded position, and the neck is also kind of in an arch position. That's why they call the curves of the spine like an S. Nonetheless, we're going to take these curves and move them all into spinal extension to the best of our ability, which is going to be challenging because it's going to create a stretch of all the muscles of the front body, and requires strengthening of all the muscles of the back body. So what I'm going to do right now is pull up the muscles that will be stretching today predominantly are going to be called the pectoralis major. The pectoralis major, you've seen people like bench pressing at the gym. They kind of, you can see the fibril directions go across, down, and kind of along with the obliques here. You'll see the fibril directions of the muscle go diagonally downward towards the opposite side abdominals. And I'm going to just take away the platysma if I can. We're just going to hide that. We don't need to see that right now. So that you can see really, here's the pectoralis. Also, what we'll also be stretching today is anterior or frontal deltoid. They call it clavicular part of the deltoid. Anterior deltoid is usually the name, or front deltoids. And we'll probably get into the biceps, these two muscles here, or two-headed muscle. So we have the biceps, the deltoids, and the pectoralis in the front here are all going to be stretching today. Now, we'll stretch them, of course, using things like gravity and the wall and outside forces, but really the most important thing we can do is to not only just stretch from using, like, say, a wall, putting our hand on the wall, but to actually learn how to engage the muscles that would lengthen the pectoralis. When the pectoralis major engages, and let me see if they have the motion here to show you, you're gonna get this action, not this one here. You're gonna get this action where the arm crosses the midline. You're gonna see the arm's gonna go up. This is stretching it. Now this is gonna shorten and engage it. That's called horizontal adduction, when the arm comes across towards the midline of the body. So this action that's coming up here is what the pectoralis does. So when it engages, when it stretches, we're gonna do this, horizontal abduction. So we're gonna open up the arms, and what we would think of as opening the chest to stretch the pectoralis muscle. We'll start by opening the heart, the muscles around the heart. So pectoralis major, along with the deltoids and biceps, will be involved in that as well. So we can stretch those muscles, but we want to learn really how to strengthen the opposing muscles that create a stretch for those, starting with what's called the transverse trapezius muscle, or the middle fibers of the trapezius, which will help to retract the shoulder blades. Let me see if it shows the motion here. Hopefully we can get that. Cervical spine extension, anterior extension, trapezius, shoulder retraction. Perfect. So you're going to see here, you see how the shoulder goes in towards the spine. That's protraction. This is, hold on, wait for it. Protraction, retraction, the shoulder blade towards the spine is going to be done via the muscles of the trapezius, the middle fibers, some of the kind of middle upper, and some of the lower fibers will be working with you as well to pull the shoulder blade towards the spine. And then also we want to see, if we go underneath this, let's hide the trapezius, you'll see the rhomboids. These muscles, you see the fibril directions are very much the same. So trapezius, the fibril directions are the same direction as the rhomboids. The rhomboids are just deeper. They're below the trapezius, and they do the same thing. They retract the shoulder blades. Very simple. Watch. You can see underneath, that's the rhomboid there. Boom. Squeezing in. So what happens in the front body is when you do that, it stretches the pectoralis muscle. You can imagine the pectoralis would be here, okay? And when the pectoralis is allowing the rhomboids to engage, so the pectoralis, meaning the pectoralis, instead of engaging so hard that it doesn't allow movement, if you disengage completely the pectoralis or a little bit, then the rhomboids are engaging, then what you get is movement. You get retraction of the scapula, and the pectoralis will stretch. Okay, that's the visual for today. Let's get into our bodies and make sense of this retraction using the rhomboids and trapezius muscles to stretch the pectoralis major muscles. Cool? Sound good? Hopefully it sounds good to you. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I will try to figure out how to get the discs, the intervertebral discs there for all of you on the next one, because when I added muscle before, I did not see that option. Okay, someone was just saying you can add muscle to see that. Okay, come to all fours, hands and knees, arch the back. And simply what we're gonna do is soften This is the chest here, or the sternum, or the torso. And you're gonna soften the torso down until the shoulder blades come together on your back. That's called retracting the shoulder blades. And as a result, it's gonna start the initiation of stretching your pectoralis major muscles here and muscles called serratus anterior. It's gonna stretch these muscles and shorten the muscles of retraction. Again, the muscles of retraction, rhomboids and trapezius. But here's the important distinction, is that when you bring your shoulder blades together like this, we haven't engaged the rhomboids or the trapezius. Gravity is what created the lengthening of the pectoralis major. Okay, so gravity can do it, outside forces can lengthen the pectoralis or open the heart, but we're gonna learn how to use our muscles to open the heart. Inhale, arch the back, look up. Exhale, round the back, separate your shoulder blades. Inhale, arch the back and look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch and look up. Exhale, round. Inhale, arch and look up. Let's come to downward facing dog. Exhale. Oh, that camera's a little bit off. I'll adjust that in a moment. In your down dog, pedal out your legs if you like. If you prefer stillness, you can be still. The best thing to do is start to listen to your body and start to become aware of what it's asking. Some days I can feel my body wants to move more, other days it wants to be more still. And when you start your yoga practice, it's nice to kind of begin with what your body is asking for and then move into new things or different things, you know, different actions with the body. But start in a way that your body is asking for. So if it's more movement, more movement. If it's less movement, less movement. Take a full breath in. Exhale it out. With the fingers gripping the ground, lift the heels, roll into plank pose, and pause there. Now, let's learn how to engage the pectoralis muscles, these muscles at the front of the chest. In order to stretch them, it's great if we start to engage them first. So first things first, separate your shoulder blades on the back. So broaden your scapula and then start to squeeze your hands toward each other with straight elbows. And you should feel the muscles of your chest, the front of your chest engaged. Again, pectoralis muscles. You might feel your biceps activate. You might also feel your anterior deltoids, your front shoulders engaged. So squeezing the arms toward each other and separating the shoulder blades on the back. That's the opposite of heart opening. It's great for arm balances, and many of you did that last month with me. Place the knees down, come to child's pose. So with heart opening, we're gonna do exactly the opposite of what we just did. But of course, to warm the muscles up so they're ready and prepared and craving a stretch, it's good to engage them first. Come forward to all fours, arch the back and look up. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Right leg to the sky, inhale. Bend the knee, open up your hip as you exhale. Let the pelvis kind of fall back just a little bit, inhale. Exhale. Inhale, straighten the leg and square the hip. Let's bring the knee to the chest and squeeze the arms toward each other as you do so, shoulder blades apart. Inhale, back and up. Step right foot forward as you exhale. Okay, pull your feet toward each other. Thank you, Roman. I'll check that out later. I appreciate that. As you pull your feet toward each other, round your upper back until your front chest and ribs move away from your thigh. As they move away from the thigh, your shoulder blades should separate more just to keep the fingertips on the ground. Otherwise, as you relax your chest towards the ground, your shoulder blades can come together, depending on the height of your arms or length of your arms compared to your shin. But see if you can actually separate your shoulder blades. Protract, which would be a muscle called serratus anterior, which we didn't go over, but the serratus anterior helps to stretch the rhomboids.
So we're going to start with a lengthening of the rhomboids and the trapezius through this protracted position and a rounding of the spine. Again, this is the opposite of hard opening that we're starting with. Now, just to kind of like squeeze your hands in toward each other with this rounded position, that'll activate your pectoralis muscles. Scoop your tailbone. Again, we're in the opposite position of hard opening right now. Now place the hands onto the front thigh. With your hands on your front thigh, you're going to get kind of into that similar shape you were just in by scooping the tail and rounding the back. Then, like a turtle comes out of its shell, lengthen the back of your neck as long as you can without dropping your head. Take the arms out like a bird and squeeze your shoulder blades together on the back. Now we're in the hard opening position where the shoulder blades are trying to move toward each other via the strength of your rhomboids and middle and lower trapezius muscles. And upper trapezius are helping as well. So the trapezius and the rhomboids are helping to retract the scapula. Pull your shoulder blades together, okay, and then release hands to the ground. Step to plank pose. Inhale. Place the knees down, child's pose as you exhale. Inhale to all fours. Arch the back. Exhale, downward facing dog. Left leg to the sky. Inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip as you exhale. Try to allow the pelvis to kind of slide back a little bit like you're kind of sticking your butt out. Straighten the legs, square the hip. Knee to chest, round the upper back, and squeeze the arms toward each other. Inhale, back and up. Step left foot forward. High up on the fingertips, take a breath. The app is called Complete Anatomy, or on iPhone, it's Essential Anatomy 5. It's different on all different devices as far as how it works. Squeeze your legs toward each other. And as you squeeze your legs toward each other, lift your hips and round the back. Is the focus soft? Oh, it kind of looks a little bit soft. Yeah, maybe it is. Let me check. It could be. Let me know if that looks a little bit better. Might have to shift the camera a little bit. Okay, squeeze your arms toward each other and round your upper back and see if you can get your pectoralis muscles active. As you do so, push down through the front heel. And as you squeeze your arms toward each other and round the upper back, you'll hopefully start to feel your pectoralis muscles engaged, like you're trying to kind of just pull together. Upper back rounded, shoulder blades apart, squeeze in. Now, again, that's the opposite of hard opening. So now let's bring the hands to the front thigh, and then we can start to get that hard opening muscular action, which is an engagement of the back body, particular today, the rhomboids and trapezius. So round your upper back for a moment so you can activate your left glute muscles. You press down through the left heel with a rounded back and you'll feel your left buttocks engage. More on that on another class. And then peel your collarbones. You can do this with two thumbs. Take your thumbs and pull your shoulders back behind the chest, like this, and then take your arms out wide, like you got wings. What happens for a lot of people is they move their shoulders forward and they move their hands back without using the rhomboids. So if you do this first, pull your shoulder blades back without your arms, then take your arms out to the side, you'll really get those rhomboids and trapezius muscles fired up. Okay, now keeping the shoulder blades pinning toward each other, take a full breath in and out. One more full breath in and place the hands to the ground. Okay, plank pose. Thanks for letting me know that camera over there is a little bit blurry. I'll see if I can fix it for us in a moment. Place the knees down, come to child's pose. See how this camera is. Looks like it's pretty okay. Inhale to all fours, hands and knees. Arch the back. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take the right leg to the sky, inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Inhale, straighten the legs, square the hip. Step the right foot forward as you exhale. Now, round the back, push down and place the hands on the front thigh. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, thumbs to shoulders, pull them back. Arms out to the side. Now, together, like you're coming in for a hug, separate your shoulder blades, take a breath in. Exhale, pull your shoulder blades back, then open up your arms. Inhale, separate your shoulder blades. Exhale, pull your shoulder blades back, then open up your arms. One more. Inhale, undo it, so separate the scapula. And then open the heart, shoulder blades back towards each other, and hands open. Okay, hands to the ground, inhale to plank pose. And then place the knees down, lower Chaturanga. Try this with me, it's a bit difficult. You'll take your hands back in line with your elbows, so your forearm should be perpendicular to the ground. That's very important because a lot of you are gonna move your hands forward like this when you lift your hands up. And that would kind of make it feel like your arms are doing what I'm asking them to do, but they're not going to. So instead, what you're gonna do with your hands back underneath the elbows, try to pull your shoulder blades together. That's gonna be your rhomboids and middle trapezius. And now we're gonna activate what's called posterior deltoid, rear deltoid, the muscles that oppose the anterior deltoid, the front. So to do that, keeping your shoulder blades together, try to pull your hands off the ground. Shoulder blades together. Now lift the heart, lift the head. Make sure the hands aren't floating forward, pull them back underneath your elbows. Shoulder blades together, reach back through the toes, take a full breath in, exhale and release. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck the toes, exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Let's take a full breath in and a full breath out. And take your left leg up to the sky and exhale, step left foot. Oh, sorry, open, sorry, ooh, I messed that up. Bend the knee, open up the hip. My fault. And then straighten the leg on the in-breath. And exhale, step left foot forward. Now, place the hands on the front thigh, take an inhale, come up to that rounded position. And then as you exhale, pull the shoulder blades together and arms out to the sides. Inhale, separate the shoulder blades like you're coming in for a hug. Exhale, shoulder blades together, arms out to the sides. Keep the shoulder blades together. Inhale, you undo it so the pectoralis shortens here. And then engage the rhomboids, shoulder blades together, and stretch the pectoralis. Okay, inhale to plank pose. Exhale, lower, knees down, Chaturanga. Take your feet about as wide as the yoga mat. Hands back in line with the elbows. Pull your shoulder blades together. It's fairly easy to do with your hands on the ground, right? Because you can even use some of your push muscles. But you want to try to pull your shoulder blades together and now lift the hands up off the ground without moving the hands forward. It'll force your rear deltoids, tricep muscles, and rhomboids to really activate, of course, your trapezius as well. Now press your pubic bone down, lift your chest up, keep the shoulder blades pinning together, and lift your feet up using your buttock muscles. Full breath in. Full breath out. Shoulder blades together, hands back. One more full breath in. And release. Come to all fours, hands and knees. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Full breath in together. And out. Let's do 3 more breaths. And then what you can do is slowly start to walk the feet to the front of the mat. And soften the knees, let the chest rest on the thighs. Interlace the hands behind the back. And then stretch the arms towards the front of the room. So with interlaced hands, stretch your arms long. Just seeing if I can get the other camera to sharpen up a little bit. Hopefully.
get it. Okay, hands to the hips. Arch the back and rise all the way up. I just want to take a look at the monitor real quick. It looks a little sharper now. I believe we are good. Please let me know if, and I can just look from this perspective. It looks pretty sharp. Let me know if it still looks blurry to you and I will try to fix it. All right, so let's see if we can get these rhomboid muscles and trapezius muscles continuously working with action, meaning action is like a movement or engagement. Sometimes an isometric action, I mean engaging a muscle without movement, but with the intent toward movement. So engaging in the direction of a movement without moving. That oftentimes really helps to get the muscle to activate. Instead of just kind of like flexing a muscle, you engage it with the intent for direction. And what will happen is we'll activate a little bit more effectively, and the opposing muscles will have to activate. Right now, let's just stick with what would be called movement, or we'll do so in a way that's going to be concentric and eccentric contraction. I'll get into that later on in this immersion. I don't want to overwhelm us here. So you'll take your feet apart, bend the knees, move your hips back, and let's form a heart opener just in this chair pose. So with your hands on your thighs, slowly kind of think about lifting your tailbone up to the sky a little bit until if you take your hand to your back, your low back, you're gonna feel, hopefully, your low back muscles engage. We'll go over these another day. Make sure I give you the anatomy of where these are and what they do. But essentially, they're gonna create spinal extension, a back bend. So as you move your knees and hips back and stick your buttocks up, your low back muscles engage. Now, you want to try to take your hands to your midsection and pull your front ribs. Instead of down, you're going to move them forward for heart opening, okay? And then see if you can kind of sit a little bit lower, keeping the front ribs forward. So you should get see it, you have an arch. You should see an arch in your spine, or feel an arch in your spine. Now, the hard part, keep your throat and head back. You take your thumbs to your shoulders and pull your shoulder blades together, retract the shoulder blades. So you're going to take your arms actually forward like this and separate the shoulder blades, and then pull your shoulder blades together on an exhale. Together, inhale, separate your shoulder blades, and then like you're pulling on something, exhale, elbows back, shoulder blades together. Rhomboids and trapezius engage. Inhale, separate the shoulder blades. Exhale, pull shoulder blades together, retraction. Inhale, separate the shoulder blades. Exhale, pull shoulder blades together. Keep the arch of your spine, one more. Inhale, separate, reach the arms forward. Exhale, pull shoulder blades together, and hopefully your heart starts to come forward more, creating a back bend. Inhale, reach the hands up. Exhale, bow forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Please step your left foot back as you exhale. Take the left hand over to the left, turn the fingers out, and with your right hand, you can just rotate the bicep. This is the bicep here, and rotate it to face out towards your fingers. Now, you kind of have to relax your chest down a bit to get the shoulder blade to retract. And I should say the relaxation of your chest down is just gravity. When you allow gravity to win, your shoulder blade will retract. It's not necessarily that your rhomboids are engaging. Keep the bicep facing out and start to turn your heart over the hand. Right hand behind the head, and retract your right shoulder blade. So your elbow will kind of open up and your right shoulder blade can go towards the spine. Keeping the right shoulder blade towards the spine, press the heart center, the center of your chest, forward. With the center of your chest forward, press your head back, looking to the front of your yoga mat or front of the room that you're using, right? So I'm not looking to the sky, I'm looking straight forward. You can tell there, okay? This is a bit of a back bend and a side bend. And I'm trying to get my top shoulder blade back along with the bottom shoulder blade back as well, but the chest forward. That's a heart opener. Take a full breath in and release. Inhale, straighten through the front leg, but look forward. Exhale, you can bow forward. Inhale here. Exhale. Bend the front knee, inhale. Step to downward facing dog as you exhale.
Inhale, forward to plank pose. Exhale, lower down all the way to the ground. Now let's take the hands behind the back and interlace the hands at the low back. To do so, you'll have to first bend your elbows, place your hands at your low back, and shrug your shoulders a little towards your ears more, away from your butt. Then squeeze your elbows and shoulder blades toward each other using the rhomboids and the trapezius. Of course, the rear deltoids will be involved in a moment, and muscles called the triceps as well, the back of your arm. Stretch the hands up to the sky. And if that didn't work out, just put your hands in, like loop a strap and put your hands inside of a loop, and that will also accomplish the same thing. Now, press your pelvis down, lift the chest up. Full breath in and full breath out. Press the pelvis down, lift the feet up if you can, and release. Okay, so now what we'll do for everybody is if you have a strap, use it. And rather than me explaining verbally, I'll show you visually, and we'll do this together. It's very helpful. You'll take a strap and you'll place your hands inside the loop like this. And you can do this first sitting up like this, and you can take your hands to your low back or pelvis as I am doing here. And you can go shoulders up, shoulders back. And when you go shoulders back, notice what happened to my chest. I go shoulders up, shoulders back. My chest went forward to allow for more retraction of the scapula. When my chest goes forward, that spinal extension that happens creates more room for the shoulder blades to come toward each other, more room for shoulder retraction, more room in essence for heart opening. Now the challenge, here it is. With your heart open and your shoulder blades together, pull the strap apart and reach the hands back behind you. Then you'll start to feel, okay, that's a big quote unquote heart opener. And your biceps and your deltoids, again, the deltoids are the front of your shoulders, the biceps are the front of your arms. Those muscles will be stretching, while the triceps, the back of your arms, and the rear deltoids, the back of your shoulders, will be engaging, while the rhomboids, trapezius keep the shoulder blades together. Okay, release. Now, you don't have to memorize all these muscular terms that I'm giving you. They will just kind of settle into your system. So you don't need to jot down notes or like try to think like, oh, I got to remember what he said, but rather let me keep repeating them. That's my job. And they'll settle into your system as you do the actions. Focus on the actions, and then the names will settle in because I'm repeating them over and over and over again. So once the names settle into your system, then we can have conversations and get even more technical and detailed and get into the nuances and the subtleties of the practice when I'm not having to explain the names of when we're not trying to figure out what the names are and what the actions are. So what we can do now is you can take that same strap action, we'll go on our belly, we'll do Shalavasana the same way with hands looped into a strap. So I start with one hand already looped, and you place your whole torso on the ground, and you gotta kind of find a way to get the strap. That's the hard part. Hands to the low back, like on your hips, and shoulders to the ears first, and shoulder blades together. Now, keeping the shoulder blades together, pull the hands apart isometrically and reach the hands up to the sky. So pulling the hands apart isometrically means there's no actual movement because the strap is stopping the movement. Now press the pubic bone down, lift the heart up, pulling the strap apart. Now see if you can lift the feet up from the inner legs. Straight legs if you can. Inner thighs lift, chest lifts, Shalavasana with a strap. And a big heart opener if you're really allowing or creating the movement of shoulder blades retracting via the rhomboids and trapezius. Okay, and then release. Let go of the strap. Take the strap off to the side. Come to all fours, inhale. Exhale to downward facing dog. Full breath in. And full breath out. Please take the right leg to the sky, inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Straighten the leg, inhale, square the hip. Right foot steps forward. Place the back knee down on the ground this time. And you point through the back foot. With the back foot pointed, try to press the top of the foot down, and that should kind of activate your quadriceps. So you press the top of the back foot down and bring the hands to the front thigh. It's good to have the knee a little bit past the ankle so your weight is kind of moving forward here. You've probably heard many different things about that. Ignore it for now. Pull your back knee isometrically forward. So instead of sinking into the pose, you're gonna pull your back knee forward. Whoop! So you feel your groins engage. Now, lift the belly and let's do a little bit of heart opening here. So pull your shoulder blades together. Again, you might have to take your thumbs to your shoulders to like kind of make sure your shoulder blades are moving and you're not just moving at the glenohumeral joint. So if you're not just kind of moving your arm back, but your shoulder blades move back first, then your arms. Okay, so pull your shoulder blades together, then your arms. Okay, then bring the arms forward. You can touch the elbows and round the back a little bit like I am here. Take a breath in. Exhale, open it up. Shoulder blades together, arms back, cactus arms. Inhale, open up the back body using the pectoralis muscles, serratus anterior. And then exhale, open up the front body. Inhale, open the back body. And exhale, open the heart. Good. Pull your back knee forward, reach the arms up to the sky. And exhale, hands to the ground. We're going to lift the back leg, step forward, halfway lift, press the backs of your legs apart, and exhale, bow forward. Place the hands behind the back. This time interlace your fingers, non-dominant grip, other pinky on the outside. Let your shoulders fall towards your ears with gravity. Then, using your rhomboids and trapezius, pull your shoulder blades together or toward each other. Then stretch the hands to the front of your yoga mat or to the front of your room. And if this proves to be impossible, like you can't get your hands interlaced, that's normal. Or if your hands separate, the heel of the hand separates, that's just because the shoulders are tight. You have the option, if you prefer, if it's too intense or you can't get the interlaced, you can always use the strap. Loop your hands in the strap. Okay, hands to the hips, arch the back like a back bend, and rise up to stand, Tadasana. Full breath in, full breath out. You might start to feel like the chest is beginning to open and the collarbones are broadening. The pectoralis muscles might start to feel like, oh, what we're trying to do here is go in this direction. So the rhomboids are starting to kind of take on that shape of engagement, as well as the trapezius there. And the pectoralis muscles start to become aware that this is what we're looking to do. So they start to kind of get trained in the position of heart opening. Bend the knees, place the hands on the thighs, move the knees and hips back. Stick your bum up, so instead of tucking the tail, stick your bum up like this. Do the best you can to get your back muscles engaged. You can place your hand, you can feel the kind of muscles on either side of your spine active. Then pull your belly up, lift your chest up. Now again, pull your shoulder blades together. Okay, let's do the same kind of movement we just did. So pull your shoulder blades together. This time we'll do it on inhale. Exhale, separate your shoulder blades. Elbows together in the front side. Inhale, open up, shoulder blades together toward each other. Chest forward, back bend, hips back. Exhale, open the back body. Inhale, open the front body, collarbones wide. Exhale, open the back body. Inhale, open the heart center, collarbones wide, shoulder blades toward each other. Exhale, bow, Uttanasana, forward fold. Halfway lift on the inhale. Right foot steps back as you exhale. Place the right hand off to the right side of the yoga mat. So your fingers should face out. That's the idea of this posture. You're gonna rotate the right bicep, the right arm out to the right, and try to move your shoulder head back. So retract your shoulder blade. Externally rotate the arm, retract your shoulder blade, and now take the left hand behind your head as well. Retract your left shoulder blade towards the spine. Is it possible to send your chest forward? You're opening the heart center as you press your head back. Head faces the front of the room. Lift your hips up, lift your side body up. Full breath in. And release. Straighten through the front leg. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, bow. Let's hold here for a breath. Okay, bend the front knee. Step to down dog. Lift the heels, roll to plank pose. Exhale, lower down, chaturanga. Now, I'm going to teach you 3-part Cobra, a very challenging posture that will really inform all of your back bends. And 3-part Cobra is a tough one because it's really about, at first, allowing your chest to open up. So for many of you, it's going to be very hard to do this at first, and what you can, oh, you're over here, sorry. And what you can do is place a bolster under your belly. I'll show it without the bolster first, then I'll get the bolsters, show you how we can kind of utilize it. But you'll take your hands wide, and preferably on fingertips if you can, and this will force you to kind of not push, like when you have the palms down, it kind of pushes the elbows straight, and you kind of push your upper body towards the lower body, causing compression in the low back. It's very uncomfortable, but it feels easy, like you have very little effort, but then your low back is uncomfortable. So what I'm going to show you is going to require a tremendous amount of effort, but create space in the low back. Maybe not the first few rounds because you're gonna have to learn all of these different things, all these different techniques, and over the course of the immersion, it will open up. So what you're gonna do is you'll take your fingertips the best you can, lift the front body like you're gonna peel it up away from the ground. Feet are wide, hands are very wide. And then the key point here is to soften while keeping your shoulders back. So your shoulders are gonna stay back, retract them, and move your chest and belly and ribs forward. So you see how I moved from this position here to this position where my chest is in front of the shoulders. My elbows are a little bit bent here, but essentially I'm kind of sagging or hanging the rib cage and chest forward. The last part is actually very important to the rest of our back bending practice. That is to learn how to pull the chest to the front of the yoga mat. So pull with your hands your chest towards the front of the yoga mat, and your back muscles and rhomboids and rear deltoids, all the muscles we've been working on today a little bit, start to activate. So pull your shoulder blades into retraction by pulling your chest to the front of the mat. It's gonna activate muscles you've never felt before activate. So you pull your hands so that your heart pulls forward, shoulder blades together, okay, and then release. So many of you, that's gonna be a struggle and very weird at first if you've never done that. I'm gonna show you another side. I'm gonna show you the side angle as we try this again. If it's challenging on the fingers, you can use the palms at first, but try to move into the fingertips if possible. It's not, it's not a game changer if you're on your palms. That's it's just going to tempt you to push a lot more than pull, and we need to get into the pulling. Rhomboids and trapezius are pulling muscles, which is why I mentioned if you do like climbing exercises, sometimes these muscles are very strong, but most of us aren't climbers, I don't think. Take the hands wide. First action is to peel yourself up away from the ground. So inhale, lift the front body. Second action is to exhale, soften, kind of sag the chest down as the shoulders go up and back behind you. So I feel that actually the top of my shoulder blades kind of pinning together. Then the third action is the important, or second, the second action of softening is most important. Then pulling the chest through will happen over time. You pull the chest to the front, especially the low ribs. Pull that towards the front of the mat and try to get your belly to stretch. You can reach your toes back, pull your low ribs forward, stretching the abdomen. That's how you know you're starting to do heart opening and not just compressing the spine, is when you feel the belly stretch. Release. When you feel the belly stretch, you know you're pulling your ribs away from your pelvis, pelvis away from your ribs. That's what would stretch the belly. Otherwise, if you don't feel the belly stretching, you're just compressing the spine. You're basically keeping the abdominals shortened and you're just pushing your vertebrae into each other. We want to get away from that in this immersion, okay? We want to learn how to stretch the front body and strengthen the back body. Come to all fours, please, hands and knees. Inhale. And let's go to downward facing dog. Exhale. Full breath in. Full breath out. Please take the left leg to the sky on the inhale. Bend the knee, open up the hip. Full breath in. And out. I don't think I did that on the other side, sorry. We stayed an extra breath on this side. Inhale, straighten the leg. Step forward. So if you're sensitive to each side, I would say, go back and do the other side again. Point the back foot, come on up. Lift the belly and hinge the hips forward a little bit. Not to the point where you're sagging your weight down, but so you pull your back knee forward to give a little resistance away from sagging. You want to soften forward, but not sink forward, especially in the hips, okay? Now, lift the belly up. We're gonna do, again, reverse breath from what we did on the other side. So we'll do inhales to open the chest. So pull your shoulder blades together. You can do so by putting your thumbs on your shoulders. Pull your shoulder blades together, then take your arms in this cactus shape, and we'll wait here for an inhale. Chest forward, shoulders back. Exhale, elbows together. Inhale, open up the heart. Exhale, open the back body, back of the heart. Inhale, open. Exhale, protract. Inhale, retract. And release, hands to the ground. Lift the back knee up. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, bow. Okay, let me just read this question out loud. If you cannot fully extend the elbows, would you also advise to use fingertips? Well, I don't fully extend the elbows in my Cobra pose, I think ever really. I'm always kind of keeping them bent because part of the action of pulling is that you would, like if you think of doing, you can look at me here. If I were to pull something, I'd be bending the elbows, right? So if I'm straightening the elbows, that's an action of push. So I'm always bending slightly because I'm thinking pull. So I'm trying to get that pull shape into my body. So I'm never really straightening. If I'm just fully straightening, I'm gonna be in the push action. And what that's gonna do is force the upper body to push into the lower body, and that's gonna feel uncomfortable in the sacral and low back region. It's going to be compressive. Even if you don't feel pain, it's going to be compressing the spine, and you might feel that later on. But we want to actually create this pull. So even if you're on palms, you want to have micro bending the elbows to pull the chest forward. And that's why upward dog is a very challenging pose, though it's taught all the time and people can do a shape that looks like an upward dog basically, but it's not done in a pulling fashion because everyone's used to straightening the elbows, which creates a push. We'll go over that in this immersion. Okay, let's come up to stand. All right, please find a wall. Let's do a more of a somewhat passive stretch of the pectoralis to open the chest. And we will engage the rhomboids the best you can, but we got to be mindful here. So you take your right hand on the wall. I'll show you from this angle, I think is best. So with your right hand on the wall, you're going to lift your shoulder up a little bit. When you lift up a bit, it's going to stretch the bottom fibers of the pectoralis muscle major. And there's a muscle called pec minor. So when you lift the shoulder up, it starts to stretch those muscles. So you go up and then you go back, which might mean you move your chest forward in front of the shoulder, okay? Then once you have your shoulder behind you, and you can kind of use your hand to make sure that the shoulder is behind you. Okay, once you have it behind you, you're gonna start to turn the chest away from the shoulder, and what will tend to happen is your shoulder will punch forward like this as you turn to allow you to turn forward. Don't turn your chest any more than you can keep your shoulder back. So this is where the rhomboids and the trapezius have to engage. As you turn your chest, you squeeze your shoulder blade towards the spine, and the rhomboids and trapezius will kind of force the shoulder blade to stay put while you open up the pectoralis muscles, your bicep, your front deltoids. That's why you're gonna feel it kind of like all the way down through your arm, because it's not just stretching the chest muscles, but it's stretching the muscles along that line, as well as the fascial sheath and even nerve line there. So you're turning your chest away from the hand, the shoulder blade pulls towards the spine as you turn away. And then you'll start to feel, some of you will start to feel anxious a little bit, and that's where you start to learn how to breathe and calm the nervous system. And I suggest if you're feeling anxious to focus on long, slow exhale. So it would be like an inhale, elongated exhale. Inhale. Elongated exhale.
Okay, and let's come out of it. Elongated exhale. You can feel, ooh, that's a big opening for that side. And that's kind of the game here, is to be able to be in those kind of intense scenarios, not injury, but intense scenarios in our body that feel like sensationally very alive, and to keep our nervous system calm so that we can make decisions and take actions. And if you can do that, like we're doing right now, trying to breathe and stay in the posture, stay in the now, in the moment, then ultimately that's going to lead us into more opening, because we can handle it nervous system wise. We can handle that attention. Okay, so take the left hand onto the wall. Lift your shoulder up first. That'll start to stretch the pectoralis major and the pec minor as well. You won't feel it so much, but keep it up as you turn or walk in front of the shoulder. Keeping the shoulder up and back, you can start to turn, excuse me, I'm just joking on myself here. Turn your chest away from the wall. And when you do that, make sure your rhomboids start to engage. So pull your shoulder blade towards the spine and the trapezius. Pull the shoulder blades towards the spine, left shoulder blade, I should say. I'm doing it with my right as well. So you get that rhomboid and trapezius to engage, to retract the scapula. Now, as soon as you start to feel that intensity of stretch, you want to go to a point where, first of all, there's no pain. There should be intense sensation, but no pain. So you're not like tearing anything or nothing's burning, but of course, intense stretch. And then get to a point where you can relax the mind within the scenario. So breathe by elongating the exhale. It's good to feel the sensation of the breath too. Feel what it creates for you as you inhale. Long exhale. Okay, come on out. Okay, at this point you might start to feel like your collarbones are broad and your chest is open. Your arms are back a little bit further than they were to begin with. This is a great foundation for heart openers. Okay, place the hands on the thighs, bend the knees, move the hips back, push the heels out, lift the chest up, and open up the arms into a cactus shape. Send the chest forward, ribs forward. Now see if you can keep your hips back, chest forward, collarbones wide, and make a big wide V with your hands. So reach back with a big wide V. Full breath in. And exhale, bow. Halfway lift, inhale. Left foot back. Place the back knee onto the ground, point the back foot, place the hands on the front leg. Now, the objective is to move your chest forward. We'll go here. Move the chest forward. Lift the belly and ribs up and open collarbones. Keep the middle of your ribs forward. Pull your shoulder blades together. Now on an inhale, lift your belly and heart up and wide hands, big wide V. Chest forward. Pull the back knee forward, lift the belly, lift the heart. Big wide V with the hands. Lean forward a little bit more. Last breath, pull the back knee forward, stretch the heart up, reach the hands wide and back, and release from Anjaneyasana. Okay, I'm gonna step forward, halfway lift, press the backs of the legs apart, so you're gonna back bend, fingertips, and then step the right foot back. Place the back knee down. Hips forward, lean forward. Press the top of the back foot into the ground and pull your back knee forward so your hips lift from engagement. Move the center of your ribs forward. We're going to go over what's called bowing the spine in another class, but you're going to move the chest forward to try to take the weight off of the chest so that you don't feel like you're falling back this way, but leaning this way. Take your arms into that cactus shape where you're retracting the scapula using rhomboids and trapezius muscles. Now lift the belly up, lift the heart up. Stretch the arms like a wide V back behind you. Heart forward. Pull the back knee forward, lift the chest up. A wide V, but reach the hands back behind you. Shoulder blades start to move toward each other a little bit more back there. One more breath. Lift the heart up. Squeeze the shoulder blades toward each other, hands back, and then lean forward to take the hands to the ground. We'll just step back to all fours, hands and knees. And if you have a bolster, this is a great opportunity right now to use it. We're gonna just do one last Cobra pose here. See if we can get that retraction of the scapula happening. Okay, so what you'll do is you'll have to kind of stretch your belly long so you can let your hips sag down and your shoulders go up. So you see how I'm gonna let my shoulders go up and my hips go down to place my belly onto the bolster. My low ribs where it meets my belly is touching the bolster. Take your hands wide. You see how this already props you up. Makes it a little bit easier for this first part, just to kind of give you a moment to breathe and not have to come up so high with the strength of your arms. So we go, step one, lift the shoulders to the ears and try to get the ribs up to the sky. Step two, move your low back or middle back even towards the bolster. And now I'm touching the bolster with my ribs. Shoulders are still way up to the sky and back. Now, step three, I suppose it is, pull your chest forward like you're trying to pull yourself into the bolster and try to get your shoulder blades toward each other as your heart presses to the front of the yoga mat. So press the chest forward or pull the hands back. That's the same action, of course. Lift the back of the skull up, the back of the neck up, and release. That is your Bhujangasana Cobra pose, which is going to be a foundational posture that will enliven all of our back bending practice and help us deepen very much. Feeling the stretch on the side muscles of the neck in the V. Interesting, Swati. So the side muscles of the neck are in the V, in the stretch. I would have to kind of see that. So those muscles are called, I assume what you're talking about is your scalenes are stretching, which is an interesting thing. I'm not sure what's happening there. So everybody, I'm not sure if you know, but we have a Facebook group, and that Facebook group link is above this video. You'll see it at the top of this page. You can click to join it, put a video of your practice of a posture like that if you have something going on, explain the scenario, and then I can watch it and give you feedback, and then everybody gets the benefit from my feedback and your courage to share your practice, and we can all expand. Okay, so that would be my suggestion, because that's a strange one. Sometimes questions here are pretty obvious for me, but that's an interesting one for me. I'll have to look at it and see what's happening. Okay, so last Cobra pose. Let's try it one more time, and I'll refine and add things on as we go along through this immersion, but I really want you to have a decent foundation for this posture, because it really is what will teach you back bends. This is the pose that teaches you back bends. So inhale, lift the front body up, reach the toes back and wide, and then soften shoulder blades together. You see that? Shoulder blades together and back. And then the midsection is forward. Now, pull with your hands so that your chest comes towards the bolster more, and then lift your belly up, lift through the back of the head. Keep pulling your chest to the front of the mat. Keep pressing the low ribs, low back, forward, not back, forward. And then release. Hallelujah. Okay. So for today, I don't suggest doing any forward folds. If you're feeling your nervous system is kind of up, then you can do a pigeon pose, is a nice thing to do. But what we're gonna do is, so pigeon pose is a way of doing a cool down posture without flexing the spine. So you don't wanna flex the spine after all that back bending. You wanna keep the heart lifted because your intervertebral discs are now set forward. And if you flex the spine, if you round the spine, you run the risk of pinching those discs, causing herniations and whatnot. So keep the spine in arched position. And in fact, we're gonna kind of continue in that direction if it's okay with your body. I suggest using a bolster, some very mild back bend. And this one is quite nice to start to allow the chest to open up more. And you'd be amazed if you allow your spine to be in this position. More often than not, for most of us, it's a great way to leave us off for the day. You're gonna feel a lot better because most of the time you're gonna get back to the computer, your phone, your kids, whatever, and you're gonna start rounding the back again. And keeping doing your yoga practice with engagement of the back body and opening of the front body typically is healing for most people, unless you've kind of done that for a long time. Then then maybe you need to go back in the other direction. But my suggestion, if you need to calm down the nervous system, then do a pigeon pose on each side, okay? Otherwise, you can place the bolster behind the sacrum and put blocks under your knees, and watch how we're gonna use this restorative pose, which means like you're not gonna do any effort to squeeze the shoulder blades together to start. That's a little bit of effort right there. And you take cactus arms, and then once your arms are in that cactus shape, you can relax the effort and just let gravity open your heart center. And now if this proves to be too vulnerable for you, too much, like it produces anxiety, or like, I don't mean clinically, but like if you feel anxious, then two things you can do. Of course, remove the bolster and take standard Shavasana. And I'd suggest hands over heart in that case if you're feeling too much, and that will help weigh you down. But here's what we want to do, everybody, whether you're feeling on the more anxious side or you're feeling more relaxed, regardless, we want to get to the sensations of our body, to get grounded, this feeling of I'm in my bones, I'm in my muscles, and I'm connected to the earth. To do so, this will settle our nervous system and bring us a little more towards that parasympathetic. To do so, you want to feel where your body is connected to the ground. And try to let yourself drape into those key points where you feel the bolster, the ground, the blocks. Drape your body so you get heavy to the earth and supported. Allow your energy to kind of melt downward as if you're a puddle just seeping out. Get heavy to the earth. And feel the body grounding as you breathe. Pay attention to the exhalations that calm you down. And sometimes it's nice to even focus on the movement between the breaths, so the stillness at the end of your exhales. Or even the stillness at the end of the inhales. Bring your awareness now back to your breath.
Observe how you feel and what you feel. Deepen your breath. Stretch the arms. If you're on a bolster, then you can roll off to your side. And come up to a seated position. Okay. Place the palms together in front of the heart and just take a moment to acknowledge what you've created from your practice. What does it feel like? Across the heart, even down through the pelvis and the legs, all the way to the floor. Feel the body connected to the earth. Feel the whole experience of being alive. Bowing in. Thank you all so very much for this first practice of just getting connected to the primary biomechanics of the shoulders for heart opening. Namaste. All right, everybody. It's been a pleasure to start this off in this way.